is just a few more days before Artfight. Are y'all ready? Because I promise you, I'm not. I have a few character sheets I still want to update, and so many characters in my bookmarks that I need to save offline before the great crunching that is the site getting absolutely bombarded by excited users in the first few days. But with all this talk about art fights and the character sheets, I thought I would take a moment to revisit the classics and update the drawings of 3 of my most drawn characters that I have on Artfight, as well as the 3 most iconic characters of my channel. It's the trio Merilith, Isigwin, and Ezra, all in separate Krita files for now, but I promise I will put them together at the end, never fear. As a quick reminder, and for nostalgia's sake, I'd like to introduce you to Merilith, my Yuan-Ti Aberrant Mind Sorcerer. All 3 of the characters featured in this video were created with the intent to play them in the campaign that Inkashti actually is currently part of, but you all love these characters as a trio so much, and also I love these characters as a trio so much that I changed my mind about saving them to play in future D&D campaigns and ended up placing them in my own campaign book, where they are free to exist in the same universe and in the same organization working together. Not only that, but now since I'm redrawing them with them in the context of being one cohesive group as opposed to 3 completely separate characters, I can now get them all in similar palettes and lighting and outfit styles. And even more so now that I have developed a better idea of what they do, where they live, and what sort of lifestyle they now lead. So for Merilith, I really wanted to draw her in ceremonial clothing because of her more administrative role in the Ouroboros family, as well as her position as priestess of the Demogorgon Temple. I think at the time that I sort of implied that the campaign book is set, she is a little more settled into the role, as it's been a good number of years after she encountered the aboleth and her teeth on the inside became teeth on the outside, which I love drawing her teeth every time. I feel like I keep making there be more teeth whenever I draw her, but I love everything about Merilith's face so much, and I just want to keep drawing teeth. But besides the teeth, her original design also featured luxurious fabrics, a mask, and lots of jewelry, and her ceremonial clothing is going to be no exception. She does get a singular upgrade, which is footwear. I did try to keep in the desert theme and give her like a strappy sandal, but I just can't be bothered to learn how to draw bare feet. Honestly, shoes are hard enough as it is, but I think the heels look really cute at the end of the day. Yeah, someday I'll go and do anatomy studies, but today is not that day. Merilith really set the tone for the warmth and color palette of the rest of the characters. It was my decision to make her wear the red and gold that informed the color picks that I made for everyone else, which I should have in the moment of my blissfully ignorant color picking remembered that one of the characters is entirely red, and that I've already gone through the trials of having to draw her wearing red. But no, of course I wouldn't remember that, and of course I would just allow that to be a problem that exists for future me to solve. Even though I was looking at the original drawing as a reference, apparently I wasn't looking with my eyes or using my brain, because I gave Merilith a yellow undertone to her skin, whereas in the original drawing she is much more pink. Although in my defense of the somewhat significant discrepancy in values and tones, she's not backlit this time. I don't know, somewhere along the way between color theory, lighting choices, and honestly probably the HSV sliders and color adjustment curves that I love so much, we ended up here. Which is not a bad thing. I didn't just erase her skin color, and genuinely I do love a good warm undertone in character designs. It just surprised me that the colors looked so different when I put the 2 drawings side by side. I think with all 3 of these character designs, I didn't want them to just be redraws of the same lineup of characters. I wanted to show that there has been a little bit of a passage of time, a little bit of settling into designated roles. It's probably going to be a little closer to what a player might meet if they encountered the trio in the campaign setting. I think Merilith tries to be more intentional about not dwelling on the past and on the what could have beens. I think she loves and accepts her new role, even if it's more paperwork and meetings than the high intensity the field work she is used to doing. She has been working still to return her athletic ability to what it was before the accident, and she's become extremely adept at her new sorcerer abilities. Also, she's not shy about her teeth anymore. She does still wear a mask when leaving Icthrul, just because it's nice to not draw that much attention, but in her home city, and especially when needing to seem particularly menacing for a shrewd business deal, the teeth tend to come in handy. I think my favorite part of the new Merilith design are all the big gold shinies. I mean, spoilers, I put a lot of gold and shiny on everyone, and y'all know I just straight up enjoy rendering some nice metal plates, but Merilith is probably my most conventionally attractive character, and I mean, you know I'm not exactly keen on practical character designs, but Merilith is often my excuse to just go crazy, go stupid, and make the most bejeweled, expensive, luxurious, but also desert comfy outfit that I can possibly imagine. And I could show you the final reveal, but I kinda want to save it for when all of them are together, so instead we are jumping straight into character number 2, Isegwyn. Yes, I did forget to hit record, and I was so bummed about that too when I realized that I wasn't recording for Isegwyn. And you know what? I did the exact same thing for Ezra later on, because, you know, it's not like I've been recording speed draws for YouTube for over 2 years or anything like that. Actually, only just over 2 years ago. I just went to double check, and my first video was posted on June 17th, 2022, which is wild, but still, you would think that I would remember that I need to record my videos, but no, apparently I choose to be a fool instead. But hey, come on over and meet Isegwyn Nimblepick, the halfling blade singing wizard, and the scholar turned soldier turned deserter turned errand girl turned aide and guard of the priestess of Demogorgon. Don't get too comfortable with this hairstyle because it goes away completely. It changes before the end. I flop around a lot when it comes to Isegwyn's hair. It's so fluffy in the original drawing, and I really like it as that, but also how else am I supposed to indicate the passage of time without changing her hair a little bit? Actually, a lot of changes happen to Isegwyn. They're all changes that when I look at the new drawing of Isegwyn, it's still very obviously Isegwyn, and there isn't anything about her that's distinctly different or out of place, but then I put the final drawing next to the original design, and I'm sort of baffled at how much my perception of Isegwyn has changed. The new Isegwyn gets chunkier boots because I love chunky boots, but she also gets a warmer color palette to match Merilith, but also because at this point she's been living as a member of the Ouroboros Syndicate for some time now, and she has spent quite a bit more time in warm weather, and also she's living a life she greatly prefers to the life she led before, so she's going to have a little bit more of a warm tone, her skin is going to look a bit more healthy, and also that is why I've made Isegwyn more muscular. To be honest, I think I made most of the trio more muscular, the exception being Ezra, because Ezra was already quite muscular when I first drew her, and I'm better but not great at drawing muscular anatomy, but you know what, they were strong ladies in the first place, why shouldn't they have the muscles to match? Of the two that came to Icthrul, I think Isegwyn has the happier memories of her previous lifestyle, even if the last few memories of her old life before running away to live in Icthrul were not the most enjoyable. I did want her to be able to keep the black scarf with the embroidery in this design, as well as her sword. I did briefly consider giving her a new sword made by one of the Ouroboros's many connections. However, I think as a blade singing wizard, she would hold quite tightly to the particular sword that she's most familiar with. Even though I didn't change the weapon itself, I did do a fun little palette shift to make it suit the armor of the Fire Nation, of the guard of the Demogorgon priestess. In more recent years, Isegwyn is no longer so carefully watched or punished by Ouroboros. She's a well-trusted and efficient messenger traveling frequently to the neighboring cities to exchange information. She also no longer just researches in her spare time, but Ouroboros has dedicated space and funds to encourage her research and development of magic items. The amulets and weapons she has produced have launched Ouroboros to a new level of prosperity and security. And here I am, lore dropping in a video that was just meant to be a fun redraw, but is in fact a redraw for Artfight, which sort of leaves me with an interesting conundrum because I have a playlist for redrawing characters, but I also have a playlist for campaign book lore, and I also have a playlist for all Artfight related content, and I am not sure which category this video falls the most into. Probably won't put this video in a playlist at all, or I could put it in all 3 playlists, but yeah, hard to say. But this is just one of the weird little things that I never knew I would ever have to worry or think about at all. In regards to uploading these new character images to Artfight, don't worry, I still plan on leaving the original images up as well, because I'm just very partial to their classic solo outfits, which is not at all to say that I dislike their new outfits or regret drawing them again. I don't think they're any less iconic of a trio in their red uniforms, but the original color palettes do hold a sort of special place in my heart, and I also think it's nice to have outfit options on Artfight. I know most of the time in people's character commissions, different outfits are not something that anyone is too particular about, and I'm very much in the same boat because I love seeing people put my characters in fun new outfits. But more often than not, when I draw other characters, I tend to stay either within the color palette or I just draw the outfit that the character was shown in, just in my own style. So now you all have 2 outfits to choose to draw inspiration from. Also, if you think for one moment that I meticulously recreated Isegwyn's sword with all the engravings exactly the same, absolutely I did not. I would never expect anyone to. For one, I was way too lazy to be doing that. But for 2, I do have a little headcanon that Isegwyn's sword is not just a normal forged sword, and it does have some magic imbued into it, so maybe the carvings and designs are not stationary, and maybe the magic is what allowed the sword to color shift from green to red. But on that note, we are already finishing up Isegwyn's design, and we have to head on to last but certainly not least, Ezra. And once again, I forget to record, which happens a couple times over the course of this video, more than it did in Isegwyn's. And even with all those gaps in the recording, when I went to edit the videos down, Ezra's design still took me the longest to complete. I think in total, all 3 of the designs came out to a little over 15 hours of work over the course of 5 days, which to me is kind of crazy in hindsight because I'm not usually able to dedicate so much time and focus to drawing in 1 week, but hopefully that's a good omen for the start of the Artfight season. Ezra, I think, took me 7, maybe 8 of those 15 hours to finish, which is very, very unusual. My work typically ranges from 4 to 6 hours, but I do think a lot of that increase in time is due to the fact that I practice a healthy amount of the delete your art in this one. I completely redraw Ezra's face and hair several times, and I usually don't have this much trouble drawing a strong lady, especially drawing Ezra, because I feel like Ezra is so iconic and has so many defining features, but I don't know, this time I struggled for one reason or another. A lot of thought and intention went into Ezra's design, not that the other drawings weren't full of intention, but I wanted to give her completely new clothing and almost a completely new vibe and energy about her. I wanted her to be standing up straighter, I wanted her to be more confident in herself. I also wanted to give her more stereotypically feminine clothing. Thighs still out because strong lady, strong leg, but a few more of her scars from her growing up years are visible in the new drawing, and she also has braids in her hair. Ezra is a hobgoblin, wild magic barbarian, and I think she grew up with a lot of hand-me-down armor, clothing that is one size fits all, unisex clothing, and she wasn't really allowed to express any sort of uniqueness or embrace the sides of herself that wanted to be gentle and pretty because that was the culture and the expectation was to be hulking and terrifying. One of my favorite and simultaneously least favorite parts of Ezra's new design is the long braids that I have given her. Her roughly chopped fluffy hair has grown out quite a bit, and she also has been learning how to take better care of her hair and how to braid it herself, or maybe one of the other two help her braid it. Either way, I think it really suits her. However, I forgot that, you know, if I put braids in my character designs, it turns out I also have to render the braid because, you know, how could I have possibly foreseen that? And rendering braids isn't the most miserable thing to do, but boy howdy does it get tiring real quick. Instead of giving Ezra plate armor like she had in the original drawing, I give her a turtleneck, high slit, sleeveless situation with gold detailing because, first of all, from a D&D standpoint, she's a barbarian, so she would have unarmored defense, so it's totally justified and valid. But also, I think Ezra would love being given the options to be able to choose and customize aspects of her day-to-day clothing. I mean, is essentially, Ezra and Isegwyn have been adopted into the Ouroboros company, which is incredibly wealthy, and so Ezra has gravitated towards lighter and just in general prettier clothing. I just wanted to give Ezra a version of herself where she gets to be pretty in the way that she wants to be. Also, I did draw Ezra dual wielding pikes. Do not come for me. I know pikes in D&D are a heavy two-handed weapon. Shut up. It's fine. Ezra, I think, hasn't abandoned any of her training from her previous lifestyle at all. She understands the value of what she has been taught by her people, but she has also taken to learning to love and appreciate her wild magic abilities, which had previously been only considered a nuisance. She embraces the unpredictability of it, and she has learned to use it to her benefit. She trains alongside Merilith and Isegwyn, helping Isegwyn hone her martial skills and helping Merilith find confidence in the new aberrant sorcerer abilities. Ezra has always been loyal, but she's no longer loyal in the way that a dog that is afraid of being beaten is. She is loyal because she genuinely cares for the person and causes that she's protecting. A significant amount of time of the work put into this piece was, of course, not only rendering all the hair that she has, but also drawing in the many little tattoos that she has, which was the last thing I did after making sure everything else was properly rendered and everything made sense. Ezra is in a relatively similar pose to the original drawing, so for the most part, all of the tattoos that are showing are going to be the same. There's a little more visibility on her legs and on the other side of her left arm. I think the tattoos did shift around a little bit, but that is definitely because tattoos shift when body composition changes, and Ezra has more muscles now. The tattoos definitely didn't shift because my ability to be consistent with tiny details is trash. I also added a few more tattoos in, just little ones here and there, some floral tattoos, more little stars and celestial tattoos all over the place, and a little teeny tiny number 3. But with those last few changes made, we have come to the end of our updated drawing of the trio. Here they are, and I've made it so that they're next to their original designs, and I love them so much. Believe it or not, despite my whole channel being centralized around the idea of redrawing a bunch of characters, I don't love making character sheets or recreating a consistent design over and over again, but Merilith, Ezra, and Isegwyn are 3 characters that truly came from the heart, and every time I draw them, it makes me so stinking happy. I love their new looks just as much as I love the old looks. I am stoked to have more art of these ladies come in, any art of any of my characters at all, and I am so ready to draw y'all's original characters as well. I'm super excited to showcase the beautiful art that I already know is going to show up over this next month, but yeah, hopefully I have time to upload the new designs to Artfight before the website goes into crunchy mode, but who knows? Not me.